Hi, my name is Dan Marzano. I'm a pizza chef specializing in wood-fire pizza. To make great wood-fire pizza at your home, you need a great oven. That's where the XO pizza oven comes in. It's great for making pizzas at your home. It's very simple to do, and I'm going to show you how to create the perfect fire to start up this oven so you can make great pizzas at your house. First step is opening the side shelf. I'm going to remove the front door. Inside the oven, there's a special tool that comes with the oven. I'm going to move that to the center. This tool is perfect for placing the wood on top of. So when we create the fire, we're going to be able to easily move the logs to the left side of the oven. I'm going to choose 4 smaller logs and stack them in a cross pattern. Under the logs, I'm going to put some small kindling. And then lastly, we're going to put some fire starters underneath. These fire starters are great because they're natural. Also, this wood, you want to use kiln dried wood. The drier the wood, the better, less smoke. It's going to create a cleaner fire for the oven. You're going to be cooking food in here, so you don't want any chemical additives and no lighter fluid. The beginning stage of the fire, there's always going to be an abundance of smoke. This is normal. There's always a good amount of smoke coming out of the oven from the exhaust system in the very beginning. After about 5 to 10 minutes, that smoke will subside, and then after that, you have a much cleaner fire built. So in the beginning of stages of starting the fire, we're going to keep it in the center to evenly distribute the heat around the oven. Once the fire is going, we're going to move it to the left side of the oven. The reason why the left side of the oven is important on the XO oven is because it has the Air Plus system. The Air Plus system brings air from underneath the oven inside the chamber, constantly feeding oxygen to the logs. First 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to hit around 100 to 200 degrees, and then every 5 minutes after that, it should start rising. At this point, I can see the logs are starting to light, and they're actually almost completely lit. They're going to continue to get hotter. But at this point, now that I know that they are lit, I'm going to close the front door of the oven. And I'm going to keep the fire in the center of the chamber. The front door also has venting in the front to allow the perfect amount of airflow to feed the fire as well, but as well as to retain heat inside the dome. Another thing to note on the XO pizza oven, it does have a flue on the chimney. In this position, it is fully open. That's where you want it fully open when you're starting the fire to allow the most airflow to come through the oven. Once the fire is started and we're cooking pizzas, we can continue to close it about 1/4 of a turn to allow a little less airflow in there to basically regulate the temperature of the oven. While it's heating up, we have about 15 minutes to get our ingredients ready inside. Okay guys, we're back in the kitchen now. I'm going to show you a recipe for a simple Italian style, Neapolitan style pizza dough to make at home. It contains only 4 ingredients: water, flour, yeast, and salt. All right guys, the first step is we're going to add the 600 grams of water, which is about 2.5 cups of water. We're going to add all of it to the bowl. Second step, we're going to take that 1 package of yeast, about 7 grams, and we're going to sprinkle that into the water. We're now going to melt the yeast in the water. We want to incorporate all of the yeast on the side of the bowl into the water. Yeah, we're going to see the yeast breaking down in the water. Once the water becomes a darker color and you no longer see the particles inside the water, we're now going to take the salt and add it to the water. It's about 30 grams of salt, and we're going to make a solution. And now we're going to add our flour. No need to measure here, it's just 1 bag from the grocery store of 1 kilogram of flour. We're going to add about half the flour first. Once half the flour is added, we're going to continue to mix and allow the flour to absorb some of the water. As you're mixing this, you're looking for the dry flour to eventually become more wet and almost like a muddy consistency. You're gonna start adding a little more flour. And you're gonna continue to combine. Now that that flour is incorporated, we're gonna add the final amount of flour that's left in the bag. We're actually gonna take this out of the bowl and continue kneading on our countertop surface. I'm gonna use a little dusting flour, some extra flour you have around the kitchen, and dust the surface. And we're gonna move that ball of dough onto the surface. Right now it's very roughly mixed. It's not even kneaded at this time. And now we're gonna start to knead our dough. You can use your knuckles. It's a very simple process here. And you can combine it, flip it. Now you don't want to overmix. When you overmix, it'll make the dough too strong and it'll be very hard to open up when you're making the pizzas. So now it's a very rough mix here. As you can see, pretty much everything is incorporated. And then we're gonna add it back to either this bowl or another bowl you have ready. And then we're gonna cover and let it rest for about 20 minutes. You wanna throw a wet towel over the bowl to keep the humidity and moisture inside. Okay guys, after about 20 minutes of letting the dough rest, you're gonna see the difference in what it looks like and how much it's changed. And we're gonna do one final knead, and then we're gonna cut it into balls. And after that, we're gonna let them rest either overnight or out at room temperature for about 4 to 6 hours. You can see now the dough looks much smoother than it was before. We're gonna add just a little bit of flour on top to help us get it out of the bowl. And we're gonna scrape the sides here of the bowl. We're gonna go back on our work surface here. You can use a spatula or any type of thing you have at home. There's some excess flour here. We're gonna just keep, again, folding it over on itself and kneading the ball. Fold over, knead, fold over, knead. Now I'm gonna just kind of tuck the edges underneath and spin it. We're gonna make one large ball. We're just gonna dab it out. Make sure it's fully mixed. Now we have our dough. We're gonna be ready to divide it and cut it into balls. And you can get a spatula or anything else. We're gonna cut right down the middle. Make sure it's even, like a nice even loaf. Again, if it is sticking to the counter or anything, you can just dust it with a little bit of flour. We're gonna go right down the center. Now this makes 6 250 gram dough balls. But as long as it looks even, doesn't have to be exact, we're gonna split this to 3 and this into 3. So we're gonna do one here, one here. You can weigh it if you like on a scale. For now, we're just eyeballing it. And you're gonna take each individual ball and form it into balls, basically by pulling the skin back of the dough and making a ball. At the end, you just want to pinch the bottom. Here's one ball. Same thing for the other ones. All right, guys, now you have your 6 pizzas. Again, if you think some are too small, you can cut some dough off and add it to another ball. You're gonna get about 6 bowls. And all you gotta do here now is to finish it off is, you could add either a little bit of oil in the in the bowl, or just a little bit of flour in the bottom, very little. And you can put it in the bowl. You would just cover with plastic, each one, and you let it rest at room temperature. If you're gonna be doing overnight, you would rest it at room temperature for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and let them rise, and then put them in the fridge. Or if you wanna use it the same day, just let them rise about 4 to 6 hours in the bowl, or when you see them, you know, almost double in size, and then they're ready to be used. Okay guys, we're back outside. As you can see through the door, the logs have turned charcoal gray. That means they're fully engulfed. The oven has risen to about 600 degrees on our air temperature thermometer. So we're gonna remove the door, and then we're gonna shuffle the wood to the left side of the oven. We're using the left side of the oven because that's where the air plus system is, to allow oxygen to come in underneath the oven and feed those logs. Also, the flue on top is fully open. We're gonna change that to a quarter turn to allow a little less air come out of the chimney to regulate the temperature of the oven, to keep it around the 600 to 700 mark for now. Our logs are fully lit and engulfed. All right guys, we're gonna use this tool that's an option for the oven that slides right into the grate. This allows it to drag all the wood to the left side of the oven like we talked about earlier. As you can see here, the front thermometer is about 600, but we're gonna check the actual temperature of the floor of the oven. 730, 725 right now. And the next step, guys, is we wanna clean all the ash and put it towards our fire. So we're gonna use the brush and sweep the ashes towards the fire. You can see the logs are starting to die down. This is when you could add a piece of wood or two, small pieces, to add a rolling flame to the dome. Okay guys, we're back outside. We're gonna roast some vegetables for our pizzas we're gonna be making later. We have some wild mushrooms here and some cherry tomatoes. They're in a cast iron porcelain coated pan that is safe for this oven. All we're gonna do is keep it nice and simple. We're gonna do some olive oil on top. And we're gonna do salt and pepper. And now these are ready to roast. And I'm gonna put both the pans on the cooking floor. These pans are cast iron with a porcelain coating, which is great for this oven. So these ingredients we're gonna be using later on top of pizzas. We wanna partially bake the vegetables, because if you add raw vegetables to such a hot oven, it will make the pizza watery. So we're gonna take out some of the water and partially bake them. So when we put them back on the pizza, it'll give it a nice consistency at the end. Simple margherita pizza, an old classic, and it's very simple. We're gonna take our dough that we prepared earlier today, and we're gonna put it on our work surface here. First, you're gonna actually flip it over and cover it with flour so nothing sticks to you. And then we're gonna put the bottom side down and the top side up. And we're gonna simply start dabbing it out with our fingers. You wanna do an even dab here, and you want to stop by the crust to leave a nice crust on the pizza. You want to circle it all the way around and push all the air to the crust. You're going to flip it over. You're going to add a little more flour because it's going to be on the bottom of the peel, so we want it to slide later on. And we're going to push nice and evenly. We're not stretching here, we're just pushing, getting the air to the crust. And then we're gonna pick up the pizza. We're gonna move some of our flour out of the way because we don't want too much excess flour. We're gonna toss it back and forth in your hands. What this does, it gets rid of all that excess flour so it doesn't burn in the oven later. And then just a simple way is you're gonna let gravity pull the dough over your knuckles. We're gonna rotate. till we get about 10 inches or 12 inches. We're gonna put this back down for a second. We're gonna prepare our peel. You wanna dust the peel with a little bit of flour. And rub it into the peel. You're gonna pick up the dough we already stretched out, and we're gonna put it on top of the peel here. You're gonna adjust it to a nice little circle. We're gonna slide over to our ingredients. We're gonna start with a tomato sauce. This tomato sauce is pretty much just crushed tomatoes, some sea salt, and a little bit of fresh basil. You're gonna add in the center of the pizza. You're gonna spread it around. You could add as much as you like. However, usually about 3 ounces or 1 ladleful is perfect because you don't want your pizza too watery. You're gonna stop about 1/2 inch away from the crust. The next ingredient we're gonna add is some fresh basil. You're gonna spread this out evenly around the pizza. The reason I put the basil before the cheese is that the cheese is gonna protect it later from burning in the oven. Now we're gonna add some fresh mozzarella. We're gonna add this evenly around the whole pizza. We're then gonna add some pecorino romano or Parmesan cheese, whichever you prefer, all around the pizza. And then we're gonna finish it off with extra virgin olive oil. And we're ready to go in. Want to just shimmy it right off the peel onto the floor. All right, now we're taking our tool here to turn the pizza. And as you can see from the heat of the oven, the crust on the left side is starting to rise. What you want to do is shimmy slightly under the front and check the bottom of the pizza, make sure it's not burning if it's too hot. The pizza in this oven should take about 2 minutes or even less, depending how you have it set up. Okay guys, so now the left side of the pizza is cooking nice and evenly. The bottom has started to cook, so I can lift it off the oven floor. I'm gonna stick my peel underneath, all the way to the end, lift up and turn. So I can get a nice turning motion. I'm gonna let it sit back down on the stone. Okay guys, the bottom's almost finished. I'm gonna spin it around to see if there's any spots that need additional time. All right, the bottom's cooked evenly, the top looks good. I'm gonna hold it up on my peel and get some dome heat to finish off the top. All right guys, and we're about ready to pull it out of the oven onto a serving tray.